Well, more important than closing deals is to get the call in the first place. So you had to produce a product that was. I learned from Gary Keller later on, from our chairman in Keller Williams, that you only need to be one step ahead of the competition. 2 steps is a wasted step. One step. So like when everybody had a regular for sale sign that had their company name, I put my name on the sign, so I was one step ahead. When the other associates put their name on the sign, I put my picture on the sign. Except the way I did it, and this is the photography part of it, I figured out how to use halftone screens. I digitized. There was no digitization going on. And if you took a picture of a home and you put it on the copying machine, it came out smudged on the other side. So I figured out that there's a way that you can buy halftone screen, which is a plastic screen you can buy in a photography store, and you put it in the Polaroid camera in front of the film, and when the light went in, the resulting picture was actually a digitized image. That when you put it on the copying machine to make hundreds of copies, the picture that came out perfect. It was a beautiful picture of a home, rather than the smudged pictures that everybody else was sending. So I differentiated myself by digitizing the pictures of the homes. I also knew photography, so I took better pictures to start with. I had my own equipment. So not only did I take good pictures, but I also managed to digitize Polaroid shots, black and white Polaroid shots. And that made, in addition to me being a good writer, I wrote really good text. I told the story instead of giving an address and a price. I said, here's the story of Mrs. So-and-so who lived in this house for 50 years. We bid her farewell. She is now going to Florida. Wish her good luck. And now we are looking for a new neighbor in this neighborhood. I mean, I wrote a piece that people wanted to read.
Yeah. This is what people are doing today, by the way. Like it's essentially the
norm. I figured this out 40 years ago on my own. So that really made a difference. Of course, the issue of closing the deal, I had to go out of town to learn that. I was willing to invest enormous amounts of money in sitting in front of the best trainers, and I met the top salespeople in the country to understand their story, so that I was looking for a model. So I would find these guys that were making millions selling real estate, and I would understand their story. And I remember one story in particular. There was a trainer by the name Howard Brinton, God rest his soul, he passed away. Howard Brinton made a business doing what you guys are doing, except who was sitting in the hot seat was the top salespeople in the country. And then what he did, he put it on cassette tapes, so you could subscribe and he would mail you one every month, or you can wait until the end of the year and get the whole thing, and it's got 12 months in it. So I attended one of his workshops, and he had back issues left over. So I bought all of them. I bought like 5-6 years worth of cassette tapes, and then I sat there and listened to every single one of them, some of them more than once. And what I was looking for is the story behind the story. I wanted to know, how did this person go from being so broke that his wife couldn't find a pair of matching stockings, or whatever they call them, women's socks, that they had so much holes in them that she was trying to find two that match up. That's how broke they were. He sat at the edge of his bed and cried because of how poor he was. He picked himself up and became a multimillionaire. I wanted to know that story, and I listened to it. So then what I did basically is I knew that part of it was the technical part I had to learn. So I learned, for instance, the power of scripting. So I learned that there is a really good script for starting a conversation. You don't just start talking. You would go in and you say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, thank you so much for inviting me to your home today. Before we even start, at the end of our meeting today, let me tell you this. At the end of our meeting today, one of three things would happen. You may decide to do business with me, and that would be wonderful. You may not decide to do business with me, and that would be acceptable. And I may not do business with you. Now, that may sound strange to you that I won't do business with you, And that may happen if we do some expectation setting, and you may have an expectation that I cannot fulfill. So instead of letting you down, I would rather turn you down. Is that fair? Yes, it is. Okay, with that in mind, what are the 3 most important things to you about the sale of your home? This was my standard opening. And it's still playing in my head. Even though I quit the business, I quit selling in 99. I've been out of sales for 24 years, but that script still plays in my head. And if tomorrow I got a license and went back to sell, I'll sit in front of you and say, at the end of my meeting with you today, one of 3 things will happen. You may do business, you may not do business, and I may not do business. And the reason I may not do business with you is that you may have an expectation that I can't meet. I'd rather turn you down than let you down. Is that fair? Yeah. Okay, with that in mind, what are the 3 most important things to you about the sale of your home? I don't know. So then I would say, well, people in your position usually have 1 of 3 things. They want the highest price in the least amount of time with the least amount of inconvenience. Is that fair? Yeah. Okay, so let me tell you about price. That's the presentation. Once you learn how to have a conversation, and yes, it's scripted, but it sounds so natural that the person in front of you doesn't think you're doing anything. They can't feel that it's a script. If they felt it's a script, how many times you have somebody call you up and try to sell you on something, and you can immediately tell it's a scripted conversation, you hang up on them immediately.
Yeah.
You have to avoid that.
Yeah.
So that was the secret. And then at the end, you just close them. Closing is another conversation, but it's similar to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.